Hey everybody, John Felt here. This is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Weather Briefing for, the 26th of April, 2025. You know, this is the time of year when we do get severe storms. We're in the peak of severe storm season, and we do have some potential for some very significant severe weather early this week. I'll be talking about that and more in today's Weekly Weather Briefing. Okay, so first of all, let's start off with a risk assessment here. And this is the area Monday we're looking at, especially this area brown and red in the upper Midwest. And that has not had a lot of severe weather so far this season, so keep in mind. And that will be moving east as we go through the into Tuesday. So this is Monday, and then this is on Tuesday. In addition, we have these areas of heavy rain and also some fire danger as well. So let's talk about that as we go through today's briefing. Now, last week we had quite a bit of severe weather, and like I said, in April, that's not unusual. We have hail reports in the plains, and then we have some damaging winds in the Midwest and a mix of both in the southeast U.S. Now, we had some really big boomers down in Texas and into parts of the plains. You can see these isolated supercells producing tornadoes. Here's a report in West Texas. You can see that rotating supercell, and look how flat it is here, so you can see that from quite a distance. Now, as far as rain goes last week, it was over the central U.S. and extending into the east. And red is generally about 2 inches. But in here, we had 3 to 4 inches in a few spots right in here. And that is running into some of our rivers here, and I'll be talking about the impacts of that in a bit later in this briefing. So anything in red here had temperatures last week of 4 to 6 degrees above what would be normal or higher. Hey, we got these graphics back, by the way. The regional climate centers had their funding restored. We lost just about a week of data, but here it is again. So we're in good shape. And we can then tell that anything here in yellow made it up in the 80s, anything in the brown, 85 to 90. And anything in this color here down in Texas, the southwest U.S., and parts of Florida made it into the 90s. Okay, so we're beginning to set the stage for the early week severe weather. We have this area of air mass, a moist air mass here, and we have this dry air mass up to the north. And that's going to set the stage, a clash between these air masses as we get into the early part of the week. Now, I wanted to mention the river flooding. What we have here is over the last week, the upper Mississippi's had some higher flows. Now, yellow is just not flooding, but within bank, but high flows. And the flooding is going on the lower Mississippi right now. Now, the Ohio, which earlier this spring was very busy, here's Paducah, Kentucky. You can see now it's dropping very quick. But look down on the lower Mississippi, Baton Rouge. A very broad, long crest. So we're getting a lot of water working down through the lower Mississippi at the current time. So as far as the jet stream goes, we're going from a Pacific ridge, which is blue, and as we get into May, a Pacific trough. And this is the Pacific ridge. There's our ridge in the Pacific. And that bows this area of high pressure to the north, bringing some warmer weather. And then by next weekend, that's replaced with a Pacific trough. So what does that mean on temperatures? Well, it looks like parts of the north central U.S., parts of Montana, the Dakotas are going to stay fairly warm with above normal temperatures. And it looks like the southwest U.S., California, and then eventually parts of even Texas look like it's going to be below normal temperatures. And that goes into generally the middle part of May. Now, what about rain? Well, first of all, same area we've seen. This area has really had a lot of rain over the last several weeks, especially Oklahoma into southwest Missouri, and then also some heavier precipitation up in the upper Midwest. And here's the setup for Monday. We're going to have this warm front, and this is what we call the triple point, where this warm front and this cold front come together. And here's the convergence: south winds, north winds, and where it converges is where we are going to have the severe storms. So keep that in mind when we get into early in the week, Monday and then Tuesday. Okay, and finally, let's take a look at the extended outlook here for week 2. This is week 2. It looks like the northwest U.S., north central U.S. is going to experience some unusually mild weather, warm weather. That's going to continue into the middle part of the month. And it looks like we're going to quiet things down in week 2. Maybe some rain in the southwest, monsoon flow, and that is going to be a needed rain in that area. But it looks like it's going to quiet down. Week 2 could be a fairly quiet week. That's this week's briefing. Let's keep an eye on the severe storm potential as we get into the early part of the week. Take care.